like mkhwitswane.
Yeah, just like
He's asking how can we learn from him.
Advocate Semenya.
Chairperson, good morning. Good morning, Member Bena. Today we have reserved it for Seri to lead its evidence, and I think that Tobachale is here with us today.
Yes. Advocate Tobachale.
Good morning, Madam Chairperson, Madam Commissioner. We've got 3 witnesses that we'd like to lead today. The first one is Mr. Zanenkomo Nelson Ketani.
Yes.
Yes, Madam Chair.
We beg leave to call Mr. Ketani to take an oath. The witness will be testifying through an interpreter. Mr. Ketani, good morning. Please give us your full names.
Zanenkomo Nelson Ketani.
Do you swear the evidence you're about to give us will be the truth, nothing else but the truth? And if you do, please do raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
Uyafunga ukuba into ozoyithetha apha inyani sokuphela. Ukuba uyafunga, phakamisa isandla sakho sakusekunene, uthi ndincede Thixo.
The witness is sworn in.
Thank you,
Chair.
Mr. Semenya. Mr. Tobachale.
Enkosi Mhlekazi Semenya, Mhlekazi
Tobachale.
Tobachale.
Mr. Ketani, Sanborn. Perhaps, Madam Chairperson, just I know that my leader, Brickhill, had contextualized the purpose of this evidence, but just as a recap to say it's largely to speak to people who live in some of these buildings that fall within the terms of reference, and some of whom who live in T accommodation, which may be necessary as a consideration for the Commission's work. So part of it is
Yes.
simply to go through how they got to live there and the conditions of those buildings.
Yes.
Mr. Ketani,
Mhlekazi Ketani.
can you tell us, perhaps let's start with how old you are?
Singaqale siqale ngokuba iminyaka yakho mingaphi? It's 73 years old. I am 73 years old.
Okay. And Mr. Ketani, you have a statement that you have provided to the Commission. I believe you've been given a copy of it.
Mhlekazi,
Sorry.
sorry. Mhlekazi uKetani kune statement owasibhala wasinikeza iCommission.
And you have a copy of it in front of you?
Unayo ikopi yaso? Yes, I do.
If you can just turn to the first page, Mr. Ketani, of that
Chila
thing.
kukhasi lokuqala.
You'll see there in the tram lines, it says witness statement of Zanenkomo Nelson Ketani. Do you see that? And if you go to, perhaps if you just go through it to the very last page, you'll see your signature, well, a signature there.
Ekugqibeleni uyabona apha utyikitye khona? Yes, I do.
Can you just look, Ketani?
Ndicela
Last page.
ujonge Mhlekazi uKetani.
The last page.
Apho utyikitye khona ekugqibeleni ikhasi lokugqibela.
Do you confirm that that is your signature?
Ungaqinisekisa ukuba kuwe owatyikitya apho?
Ewe.
Yes.
Thank you. So how I will be doing is we'll be going through part of what is written in your statement, and I'll be asking you questions related to that.
Into esizoyenza sizoqhubeka sijonge i-statement sakho owasibhala and mna ndizokubuza imibuzo ngento owayibhala wena. I agree.
All right. Can you tell us when where you were born and how you grew up?
Ungasixelela uba wazelelwa phi and ukhule kanjani?
Salele Lady Frey.
I was born in Lady Frey. Wakhula kanjani?
Ndikhule ndiselusa. Kudade saphila.
I was a head boy and my father then was still alive.
Then ke udade wasweleka emva koko.
And my father passed on.
Emva koko ke kwasala umzala wakhe owakwaDlungu.
And then
Laba phansi kwakhe.
after my father passed on, I was raised by his cousin. He's from the
Madiba
Zomo clan,
clan, yes.
Madiba clan.
And how was life when you were being raised by that cousin?
Yayinjani imeko yokuphila ngelo xesha ukhuliswa ngabakwaMadiba?
Engekho lula.
It was not easy.
Can you elaborate, Mr. Keta?
Ungachaza kabanzi?
Ebusika besiphuma siyokolusa.
In winter time, we'll go out and head cows. I was a shepherd, a head boy.
And so you stayed with that cousin until when?
Wahlala
Maybe
nalo mzala.
let me just interrupt, Chair. I'm told for the purpose of the record, maybe if Mr. Katani can speak a little louder so that the vernacular transcription can also be captured.
Okay. Satuketani, sondezi mic eduze kwakho.
Okay.
Uzowuthethe kakhulu tata.
Okay, ndiyabulela.
Ukuze i-recording izawubuza.
Ivakala.
Ndiyabulela.
Uh,
Kaphinde ba.
yes, so the question was you stayed with the cousin until when or until what happened?
Wahlala nomzala ixesha elingakanani emva kokuba uhlale nomzala kwathini? Ungasichazela kabanzi.
Ndahlala nomzala katata up to ngo-1970.
I stayed with my father's cousin until 1970.
Ngo-1970 ke but ngaphambi kwelo xesha kwafika umalume besebenza apha eRhawutini eRandfontein, then ukusebenza kwakhe eRandfontein besebenza milling company.
Before 1970, my uncle came back and my uncle was working in the milling company in Randfontein, here in Johannesburg.
Emva koko ke umalume uthe xa ebuya at pension wandibiza wathi mtshana uzawuthatha indawo yami eRandfontein.
When my uncle came back from Randfontein, he was on pension. He told me that, my nephew, you are going to work in milling company where I used to work.
So ke emva kwelo xesha umalume ke ngo-70 wafika wandibiza wandinikeza imali
My uncle came in 1970 and he gave me money
uba ndiyofikela kwangubani eOrlando East eSarah Street 4409 Sarah Street.
umalume wafika wandinikeza imali. Okay, my uncle came back in 1970. He gave me money so that I will go and stay with the Ngubane family at number 44,
4409
4409 Sarah
Orlando
Street
East.
in Orlando East.
And so you got to Orlando East and you worked at the milling company.
Wafika eOrlando East, wasebenza kwikhampani, milling company.
And ukufika kwam ndifike khona kwakungolesihlanu ndawuqala umsebenzi wahamba nami ngomvulo.
I arrived there on a Friday And on Monday, I went to work for the first time.
Wandibanisa ke nalomlungu bemsebenza uJabinel.
On Monday, I got to meet the boss. The name of the boss was Japinel, where my uncle used to work. You were going with your uncle.
No bendihamba no.
Nongubane, okay.
Ngubane besebenza nomalume.
Okay, Mr. Ngubane took me to Japinel, the white person that my uncle used to work for.
Emva koko ke uJabi wandamkela. Wathi uzosebenza nami, ndiyosebenza umsebenzi wami kuba ndifuke ekseni ngena ngo5. Check ama-conveyor belt esebenzayo nengasebenziyo ndibuye ndiripote kuye xa ifika ngo8.
Mr. Chapinel gave me the instructions that every morning I will get there and check the conveyancing belt, that they are working every day in the morning. That's what I will do, and then go report to those that are working, those that are not working.
And you did this job until when and where did you go after that?
Wasebenza lo msebenzi ixesha elingakanani, emva kokuba uyekile apho waye wayaphi.
Ndiqale phaya ngo70 ndayeka ngo79.
I started working there in 1970 and I stopped in 1979
ngenxa yengulo.
because of sickness.
And then after 1979, did you work anywhere else?
Emva ko 1979 kukhona apho uye wasebenza khona.
Ndaye ekhaya njengoba ngigula. Ndabuya ngo1980.
I went back home because I was sick, and then I came back in 1980.
Ngo1980 ndayoqashwa eSiemens.
In 1980, I was hired at Siemens.
Ngelixesha kokusenziwa ezintsika iSosol.
At that time, they were building Sasol.
So bendisebenza khona.
I was working there,
Sifaka ama-cable.
and we were putting cables.
So sasebenza ke nisebenzile apho khona sasuwe ezimine. So servicer i-engines echaft.
After I was working at Siemens installing the cables, and we were taken from installing cables to the mines where we were servicing the shafts.
And why did you stop working there?
Wayekelana ukusebenza apho?
Ingxaki yam ukuthi besihlala mhlambi fortnight underground.
My problem then, we will stay fortnight underground.
So ke ngoku azange ndiyithande lo mpilo leyo ndaqonda uba ngcono ndivele ndayeka ke.
So I was not happy with those conditions. That's why I decided to stop working there.
Emva koko ke ndazodibana no Martin Clifford, umuntu obesevisa ama-conveyor belt eRandfontein.
After then, I met Martin Clifford, the person who was servicing conveyor belts at Randfontein Milling Company.
And what was the significance of meeting Mr. Clifford?
Kwaba nomthelela onjani ukudibana no Clifford kuwe?
Kwaba luncedo
It was helpful to me
ngoba sasebenza sobabini.
because we worked together.
Avula icompany recycling.
He opened a recycling company.
Wynberg Road 66 Wynberg Road Q.
It's
66 Wynberg Road Q.
66 Wynberg Road Q.
Mr. Ketani, so during this time now, when you're working with Mr. Clifford, where were you living or staying?
Ngela xesha usebenza nomhlekazi uClifford ubuhlala phi?
Bendihlala eOrlando East.
I was staying in Orlando East.
And you stayed in Orlando East until what happened?
Uhlale Orlando East kwabe sekwenzekala ntoni?
eOrlando ngela xesha Pili ixesha apha le-stay away azigityelwa ziyagityelwa uyayibona into ezinjalo.
At that time in Orlando East, there were stayaways. Sometimes you won't be allowed to go to work, you'll be allowed to go to work and so forth.
And then ke le ndoda endisebenza nayo emhlophe yathi no into abamane ungabikho emsebenzini ulove ngenxa ye-stay away kungcono ndikuzamele indawo edolophini.
At that time, Clifford said, it's not nice that sometimes you are at work, sometimes you are not. So I will organize a place for you in town.
Wandiorganayizela ke indawo
And he organized a place for me
Ivan Court khona Catherine and Eslin.
at Ivan Court, Connor,
In
Catherine and Eslin in Beria.
And so,
Ndahlala khona.
And I stayed there.
okay, and why did you stop staying there?
Wayekela ntoni ukuhlala apho?
Kuthe ngo-93 then kwacaba ke ikhampani ithenge intsimbi akangazifaka kwi-registry book njengoba i-recycling umthetho wayo usitsho.
In 1993, the company bought a steel and he didn't register them on the register book as the compliance, it's a requirement, as it is a requirement to register that steel.
So ezo ntsimbi ke zayobanjwa eChrisis eLowenthal Metals.
And, sorry. Ezo ntsimbi.
Zayobanjwa eLowenthal Metals eChrisis.
And those,
Apho sithengisa khona.
and those steels were arrested at Metal, Crisis,
Lowenthal Metals.
Lowell Metals.
Lowenthal Metals.
Perhaps,
Lowenthal Metals.
perhaps let me assist you. So in your statement, you say, I stayed in Berea until 1994 when I stopped working for Mr. Clifford. Mr. Clifford got arrested and sentenced. The company stopped operating, and then in the next paragraph, you say, I left the building. So is that,
Ukubanjwa kwalo mhlekazi bendisebenza naye. Ndikwazile ukuhlala unyaka yaphela ke imali. And
After-
then
Okay, sorry. After he was arrested, I was able to stay there for a year and my money got finished.
then ke ngoku kwafanele ndiphume ngoba imali yerent ayikho.
So I had to move out because I didn't have money for rental.
and where did you go?
Wayaphi ke ngoku?
Iveki yokuqala and ePark Station.
The first week I stayed in Park
Ndahlala, I
Station.
think ndihleli indiveki ndicinge ndihleli iveki ezimbini.
I stayed in
Station.
Park Station for 2 weeks.
Emva koko ukhazini wam Xolisi Wulani wanibona
After that, I met with my cousin, Xolisi
Wulani.
Ulani. He,
Kanti undibone ekuseni esiye SABC besasebenza SABC ngoko.
at that time, my cousin Xolisi Ulani was working with the SAPC. He saw me in the morning when he was going to work.
So late wadlula
In the afternoon, he came.
wafika wathi mzala make siye endlini.
He came and took me to his house.
And then ke xa sifika endlini wathi nomzala ngene ebhafini uvase.
And he organized water for me to bath.
Ngabhafa ke wathi xa ndiphume ebhafini wathi mzala uzawuhlala apha awusazukuya kwindlela uzawuhlala apha uzawudla into endidlayo.
And he decided to take me in and yeah, we stayed together.
Sahlala apho ke.
And that's how I stayed with him.
And when and why did you stop staying with him?
Wayekela ntoni ukuhlala naye? Wayeka nini? Wayekela ntoni ukuhlala naye?
Azange ndiye kuhlala naye ndadibana nomntana kabhuti wam oyintombazane behlala eAlexander. Wathi uya ekhaya uyothwasa. Now ucela ndiyomgcinela umkhukhu eAlexander 15 Avenue.
I met with my other cousin. She was going to Twasat for the initiations back in the Eastern Cape. So she requested that I should go and take care of her shack in the 15th Avenue, Alexandra. That's how I moved out from Mulani's house.
Okay, so you then went and stayed in Alexander?
Yebo.
All right. And so in your statement, you say in 2001, I visited a friend called Wilfred Mpahlele, who stayed at St. Jose building in Berea.
Kwi-statement sakho uyatsho ukuba wakuvakatshela umhlobo wakho uWilfred Mpahlele obehlala
Berea.
St. Jose.
eBerea.
Yes, can you tell us more about that?
Kunjalo ndafika ndaye town ndadibana noWilfred Mpahlele. Then umuntu obesazana naye.
I met with Wilfred Mpahlele. I knew him.
Mpahlele wathi kum endoda uhlala phi ndihlala eAlexander wathi hayi man. Ugxothwe intoni town ndithi hayi mana namali wathi man jonga ndizamuva eflatini ndiyohlala ePonty City. Uyaminda na ukuhlala endaweni engenamanzi engenagesi.
I met with Wilfred Mpahlele and I knew him, and he asked me, where do you stay now? And I told him I stay in Alexandra, and he was like, why are you no longer staying in town? I told him I no longer have money for rent, and he said, okay, I am moving out from where I was staying. Do you mind to stay where there's no water and electricity?
And umpendulo yami ndathi kuye nangxaki umkhukhu nestructure sokwakhiwa zinto ezimbini ezingafani. Umkhukhu uyanetha, istructure sinethi.
And I told him that I don't mind the shack.
Yanetha.
The shack leaks, and then if there's a structure, I don't have a problem because there are no leakages in the structure.
And so what happened next?
Kwenzekala ntoni emva koko?
Emva koko ke Mpahlele wandichazela uba mandize ndifike ngolesingaphi.
And he
Ndafika.
told me when to come, and I arrived there.
Ndafika ohamba nami waya nami eSt. Jose.
When I got there, he took me to St. Jose.
Waya nami 204 apho behlala khona.
He took me to number 204, where he used to stay.
So wathi ke ndihlala apha. Sizawuhlala apha. Wahlala nami inyanga.
He stayed with me for a month.
Phakathi kulo nyanga abiza meeting.
During that time, he called a meeting,
Wandi-introduce kubahlali base-St. Jose.
and he introduced me to the other resident.
Ba nansi le ndoda. Ciao. Nguchawe le ndoda. Now le ndoda xa nifuna ukuba isebenze nani ngancedisa kwezinye izinto.
He introduced me, and he told them that I can assist them on other things.
Emva koko wathi hayi kulungile ke. Sizawuhlala sonke. Kuphela kwenyanga wamuva wathi no okay. Mina ndiyahamba kodwa ndizamane ndisiza. Ndizonibona and then kwezinye izinto eningazazi ndinicebise.
I stayed there with him for a month. In the month end, he left, and then he told them that I will come back and assist where I can.
Sahlala ke sithe sisehleli
So I
kunjalo.
stayed there.
Sithe sisahleli kunjalo kanti mina ndifika sekukho inotice yoba kufuneka sikuphunywe khona.
I stayed there for a while, and then I realized that when I arrived, there was already a notice that we should move out.
Emva koko ke kuleyo notice of emotion eyayikhona wafika kuMphahlele siza noStuart Wilson ebesebenza eCarls ngelo xesha.
Mpahlela came back with Stuart Wilson.
Stuart Wilson,
He was working at Carl's at that time.
a litigation director.
A litigation director. He was a litigation director.
Emva koko ke uthe xa efika wasichazela ukuthi hayi bangasinceda kodwa kufuneka sifome ikomiti.
He told us that he can help us, but we must form a committee.
And abahlali wahamba yena.
He left.
Abahlali bahlangana.
The resident met.
Ukuhlangana kwabahlali bakhetha mna
We met and they appointed me.
bani be-chairperson bekhona ke besiyi-6 ngamakomiti.
Okay, we were 6 and they appointed me to be a chairperson of the committee.
So ke ndaba yi-chairperson ke ukusuka ngoko
And I became a chairperson from then
kwade kwangena i-case yethu yokugxothwa kwethu.
until the case of removal is set down.
Let me just interrupt you. So I want to go back a little bit. In your statement, paragraph 12, when you explain how you got to live there, you say in the second sentence, I understand the building, this is in relation to San Jose, to be a sectional title scheme which was rent to buy. Then you say, I moved in with Mpatlel. I suppose the question I'm asking is, when you were moving there, what did you understand to be or who was the owner of the building?
Xa wawuhlala phana, wawuqondisisa ntoni ngomnikazi wesakhiwo eso?
Endandikwazi kusele nje kancinci ngoba lokhu uyabona xa ungumntu ezinye izinto uyazilibala enye zidala izinto. Ukuya kwam phaya umphahlele ebengumntu oyibe-board corporate member.
When I got there, Mpatlele was a board committee member,
Board corporate member.
board corporate member.
Okay. All right. So then you were telling us the part where now there's an eviction application.
I-application, i-notice of emotion ndifumene seyikhona. Kodwa amalanga akho ibisenamalanga amaninzi. Kanti sebeye evets bathola i-cards ezawuba khusela kokugxothwa kwethu khona.
When I arrived there was already a motion of eviction. And the residents had already went to vets to get Carls who was going to assist them so that they are not evicted.
What happened with the eviction application?
Kwenzeka ntoni?
Then i-case yathathwa yi-Carls.
The case was taken by Carls.
Then ke uyithatha kwayi-Carls yavimbela ukuthi sihambe ngesuku elalisikiwe. Isuku elalibekiwe uba siphuma ngalo.
Okay, Carls, we were not evicted on the day that we were supposed to be evicted because Carls assisted us.
Then ke kuthe ke kusesenjalo yangena ke case ngelanga le case. I-case yethu yathatha iveki.
Our case took a week.
Yaqala ngomvulo.
It started on a Monday.
Ngomvulo sangena ecourt.
We went to court on a Monday.
And then ujaji yakhona uJudge Bai.
The judge was
Judge Bai.
Judge Bai.
Emva koko kwathiwa ke masingene ezibhasini siye eSan Jose. Ijaji yozibonela yona ngamehlo wayo.
And we were taken into a bus so that the judge would see St. Jose.
Sahamba ke sayofika eSan Jose.
We got there in St. Jose.
Sapaka ibhasi sangena ngaphakathi. Indlu yokuqala bayingena bangena e204 apho bendihlala khona.
The first room to get into was my room number 204.
Then avula umnyango bangena.
I opened, they entered.
UJudge Bai wathi ufuna ukubona ibedroom.
Judge Bai wanted to see the bedroom.
Ndangena naye ibedroom.
I showed him.
Uma esuka ebedroom wathi ufuna ukubona ibathroom.
And he went to see the bathroom.
Wabuza uba kukhona namanzi apha.
And he asked if there was water in there.
That akukho manzi akukho gesi.
I told him there was no water, there was no electricity.
Wathi kutheni lento kungabonakala ukuba akukho manzi.
And he asked me, why is it that it's not shown that there's no water?
Athi ke impendulo yathi sithatha amanzi ngamabhakethe eJoslovo Road esibridgini.
I told him
Sewathola.
that we take water from Joslovo Bridge with buckets
Size nawo endlini siflasha ngawo,
and we
sihlamba
bring them
ngawo,
inside
sipheka
and
ngawo,
we use them to bath, to wash and to flush the
cook
toilets
also.
and to cook as well.
Impendulo yakhe wathi uJudge Bhayi aba bantu isithunzi sabo bayasikhusela
And he said, these people are protecting their dignity
ngoba le ndawo bahlala kuyo
because the place that they are staying in,
ngaphandle imbi kodwa ngaphakathi
outside is ugly, but inside
iclean kakhulu.
it's clean.
Into eshotayo ngamanzi nogesi qha.
The only thing that is not there, it's water and electricity.
Okwesithathu kufuneka umasipala azosincedisa alungise amapipe aphinde enze clean up ngoba sizicleanele.
And he said that the municipality should come and install the pipes and
Sewage pipe.
the service pipe, and then he should come and collect garbage.
Rubbish,
Because we're cleaning for ourselves and we're collecting garbage for ourselves.
ngoba every Sunday ekuseni besivuka ngo4 every Sunday
Every Sunday in the morning, we'll wake up at 4,
sivala igate
close the gate
wonke umuntu angaphumi
so that nobody goes out.
wonke umuntu sivusa abantu
We wake
kuclean.
people up and then we clean.
Kodwa baye emsebenzini
But those who are going to work,
besibanikeza ama chances wabo ukuthi hayi xa usiya emsebenzini kulungile ungayi emsebenzini kodwa kufuneka ushiye i5 yesephu nokuclean into zokuclean.
okay, we will allow those who are working to go to work, and then we will ask them to leave 5 rands so that it's going to be contributed for cleaning material.
Kwaba njalo ke ile nto bafika kuclean zezo nzame sasizenza.
That's why they came. When Judge Bai came, it was clean.
Sorry to interrupt you, Bob Chow. So in paragraph 13, the essence of what you say there is that this matter then went to court and it was eventually appealed against and it ended up in the Constitutional Court.
Okokuqala yahlala icourt. uJudge Bhayi wathi ayikho indlela angasikhiphela ngayo estratweni asigxothe kodwa idignity yethu isithunzi sethu siyasikhusela ngalendlela yokuthi uzibonele so akanayo enye indlela yokusigxotha kufuneka umasipala asifunanele indawo.
When the court sat down, Judge Bai, he said he cannot evict us and we're going to stay in the streets because we are protecting our dignity. He can see that we are responsible and we are protecting our dignity. So the municipality must make sure that he organize a safe place for us to stay.
So then the matter was appealed, it goes to the Constitutional Court. What happened there? What was the
Kwenzakala
outcome
ntoni
there?
Constitutional Court?
Isithi ya aphila saya Supreme Court of Appeals eBloemfontein safike yangena ke court eBloemfontein
bakubuza nge-constitutional court.
They are
okay xolo mama bendilandela ngohlobo ehamba ngalo besingaziwa funeka ndijampile okay
Iyajampa tata, umlilo wakho ukubuza nge-constitutional court.
e-constitutional court saye e-constitutional court yahlala ke i-case yethu e-constitutional court then ahlalwa phansi kwathethwa then i-judgment yayikukuthi yayikhitshwa nguJudge Jacob i-judgment wathi uJudge uJustice Jacob wathi no wayethetha ngesilungu ke ndiyasiva noko isilungu ndandisebenza emakitchen gardening boy wathi I wonder people vote for you today, tomorrow you're putting them into the street. Hamba uyohlala phansi naba bantu. Lento ayibiza ngokuthi meaningful engagement.
Judge Yukop told the city to go and sit with us down and engage with us.
And so, Bob Ketani, at paragraph 13 of your statement, towards the end, after you deal with the appeal to the Constitutional Court and that the parties were ordered to engage meaningfully, you then say, the parties reached agreement that was endorsed by the court in November 2007, providing for the occupiers to be provided with affordable, safe accommodation in the inner city of Johannesburg. Perhaps can you translate Leopard?
The last,
So paragraph 13. So you see, it says, so second page, 1, 2, 3, 4, line 4. That statement, that sentence that starts with the matter was appealed. Do you see? So I'll repeat what I was saying. Bob Ketani, so I'm saying in your statement, in your statement there, you deal with the fact that the matter went to the Constitutional Court.
statement sakho uthe udaba lahamba laya e-Constitutional Court.
And then you say that
Emva
the,
koko wathi
the parties were ordered to engage meaningfully.
Kunjalo.
inxaxheba zombini zacelwa ukuba zithethe ngalomba.
And then you say the parties reached an agreement that was endorsed by the court in November 2007 to provide alternative accommodation.
Uphinde wathi inxaxheba zombini zaye zacelwa ukuba zidibane zithethe ekubeni abantu banikezwe indawo ekhuselekile.
Injalo.
Okay,
It
so
is.
now in paragraph 14 you talk about the relocation. Can you tell us about the relocation?
I-relocation iqale siphume ngo-2008 sanikezwa i-all perm.
The relocation started in 2008 and we were given
September.
all PEM. It was in September.
September sasanikeza i-all perm ne-MPV phase 1.
We were given MPV S1,
Phase 1
phase 1,
and then all perm.
and then all PEM.
Emva koko ke apha ekuqhubekeni kokuhlangana kwethu nokuthetha kwethu sasayinile this agreement,
And we signed this agreement
then sabhatala ama-deposit,
and then we paid deposit, money for deposit.
and then sachazela uba i-rent iyabhatala.
And then we were told that we are going to pay the rent.
Sayibhatala i-rent.
We paid the rent.
Kuthe apha ethubeni ke siyibhatala lo rent. Ulezi i-director then engulezi limahoro.
After then, when we were paying the rent, the director was Leslie Maholo.
So let me just interrupt you there. So you say the relocation takes place in 2008. There's old PEM, there's MPV1.
Yes.
Who's giving you these buildings?
Kubani wake nikeza ezi zakhiwo
I-City of Johannesburg.
And
kumasipala we Gauteng.
and these lease agreements you're talking about, who was signing them? Who were the parties to those lease agreements?
Ngamaloya ethu ababeli bethu
Namagqwetha
ne-city
wethu, it's our lawyers.
namaloya e-city.
Namagqwetha edolophu.
And this rent was being paid to whom?
To the city.
Irenti ayibhatalwa kudolophu, kumasipala wedolophu.
Okay. So then in your statement at paragraph 14, you say you were moved to MPV1.
Kwistatement sakho uthethe ukuba wena wakhutshelwa e-MPV1.
And awungene khona ndisekhona nangoku.
Yes, I was relocated to MPV1 and I'm still staying there at MPV1 even now.
And what were the conditions of that building when you relocated there?
Bezinjani imeko zesakhiwo xa nithuthelwa khona?
Yayijongeka intle kakhulu.
It looked nice.
Kanti apha ethubeni xa sesihleli ii-ventilations azikho. Yabona la mabantwana zifaka umoya.
It looked nice, but we realized that there is no ventilations.
And then sahlala ke sabachazela.
We stayed, but we reported the matter.
Sahlalela nje kamnandi ku right security security right.
We stayed there, the security was okay.
And then kwamoshakala ukuresigna akazange resign andiyazi bakwenzeka ntoni. uLeslie Mahori director.
When Leslie Maholo, the director, left the work, things went bad.
No manager
And the manager,
uGombela
Mr.
waya
Gombela,
ku pension.
went to pension. That's when things got messed
Izinto
up.
ke ngoku hayi ke ngoku yazi ibhokhwe ezingena amankomo emasimini.
Things got messed up, really messed up.
Nje nangoku
Even now,
uyabona sihlala phaya
we stay there.
ngokosisikelela.
We stay there in bad conditions.
Can we perhaps go back a little bit? So you say you move in, things are fine, the security, everything seems to be working well. What was the position with water and electricity?
Ibithini into yamanzi nombane. Manani fakwa phana ngela xesha 2008.
Njengoba benditshilo zonke izinto zazi right, amanzi ayekhona, amakhitshi esebenza, ishower zisebenza, itoilets zisebenza.
As I said before, everything was okay. Water was there, electricity was there, the kitchen, the pipes, everything was working well.
Okay, so now at paragraph 15 of your statement, you say, unfortunately, things changed when Mr. Mgombela and Leslie, so that's Leslie Mohoro, who was the director of housing, left around 2011. Can you describe what, when you say things changed, what does that mean?
Kwisinqatha ses-15 ungasichazela uba uthetha ukuthini xa uthi izinto zaguquka ukuhamba kukamhlekazi uLeslie Maholo nomhlekazi uGumbela.
Zaguquka kakhulu izinto kakubi ngakhona.
Things changed to bad.
Kwenzeka ukuthi into yokuqala i-security ayizange isebenze.
Firstly, the security didn't work.
Okwesibini
Secondly,
abantu baqala ukurentisa.
people started to rent out their places.
Emva koko sibone loo nto safowunela umwabi, that's waye acting director ngoko naye.
And then we started calling Mr. Mwabi, who was an acting director then.
Weza umwabi ne-colleague yakhe unomuntu wayesebenza naye.
He came with the colleague.
Sathatha iriski ke.
We took a risk.
Sawulanda aba bantu barentayo.
We took those people that were renting
Bayongena endlini yam.
and went in my house.
Ndathi naba bantu barentayo babuzeni babarenta kubani.
And I took the risk to point to them so that they can be questioned to whom they are renting to.
Bamchazela umwabi ukuthi barenta kulomfana ohlala khona.
And they told Mwabi that they are renting to this particular person who was staying there.
Babhatala iwaka ngenyanga.
And they are paying 1,000 per month.
Umwabi wathi no kulungile uyabuya.
Mwabi said, okay, I'm coming back.
Ukubuya kwakhe umwabi wabuya wafaka ibhakla emnyangweni wabo e211.
Mwabi came back and he put the buckler at number 211 where they were renting.
Then wathi uzawuzisa isikhiya kum, uzawuyikhiyazisa isikhiya kum.
And he said he's going to give me the locks.
Umwabi into ayenzayo wafaka ibhakla wagqiba kwakhe wayinikeza bona. Bayinikeza lo mfana orentisayo.
Mwabi put the butler, and then he gave them the locks, and then they gave the locks to the person that they were renting to.
Kwaqala apho ukumoshakala kwezinto.
That's when that's when things started to get messed up.
Inkomo zangena emasimini.
That's how things went
Let
on
me-
to go bad.
Yes, let me interrupt you there. So when you say Moabi, who is Moabi?
Ngubani uMoabi?
Umuwabi waye acting director
He was an acting director then,
Of what?
kwi-resident air housing.
Department of Housing. Is it city?
Eh,
Dolophu Johannesburg.
All right. So after that incident, I think in your statement at paragraph 19, you say in late 2023, we started engaging one Mr. Sbusiso from the city. Can you tell us about that? What were you engaging him on and how did that go?
Cela uchaze ngesiqingatha sesi-19 apha uthi nathetha khona noMoabi, uSibusiso Moabi.
usibusiso usibusiso safawunelwa kwathiwa uyimanager yebhilidi akazange yabona ngento eyachazwa yakhitshwa e-constitutional court kwathiwa funeka bahlale nathi phantsi aba bantu.
We were called and told that Sibusiso is the building manager. At constitutional court, we were told that these people must sit with us down,
Ayizange yenzeke loo nto.
but that didn't happen.
Sifowunelwa nje uba ukhona umuntu ozayo apha sicele noba imanager.
We were just called that there's someone who's coming, and we were not even told the position of the person that is coming,
ongusibusiso.
who is Sibusiso.
Then wafika usibusiso ke.
When Sibusiso arrived,
No, azange afike saya e-222.
he didn't come. We
Saya
went to
e-222.
222.
Saya e-222. Fika kwethi e-222. Kwathiwa nangu ke umuntu oyimanager.
He didn't come to us. We went to 222 and we were showed that this is the person who is a manager.
So what is 222?
I-222 building yedolophu yalapha ke yase-housing.
222 is one of the city of Johannesburg buildings.
No, please continue.
Ungaqhubeka ke tata?
Then ke apho wathi ucela simchazele iingxaki zaphaya.
He asked that we should explain our problems.
Saqala ukuthi number 1 e-Olpem ngoba singabantu abanye sahlukaniswa ngoba besihlala ku-16th floor building e-St. Jose. So now kwacaba i-St. Jose ke asikwazi ukuphuma ukungena e-MPV phase 1 sonke. Sahlulwa sabanye baye MPV abanye baye Olpem.
We used to stay on the 16th floor at St. Jose, and we were separated because we couldn't move into MPV1, all of us. So others went to Olpem, others went to MPV1, phase 1.
Yes. And then samchazela ukuthi e-Olpem kukho abantu abasuka e-Olpem beze MPV.
We told him that there are people who live Olpem,
benama lease agreement ase-Olpem.
Olpem,
Then ubhala phansi ngelo xesha.
and he was writing down.
Emva koko sathi e-Olpem khona abantu abathengisa izindlu nabarentisayo ngezindlu.
And we told him that at Olpem there are people who are selling houses, there are people who are renting out houses.
Zonke ezo zinto sabuya seze MPV phase 1.
And he was writing down all.
Number 1
We
Is
told him our
security.
problems at MPV. Number 1, it's security.
number 2
Okwesibini,
ngomarhosha.
it's prostitution.
Indawo enomarhosha ke sisi inotsotsi.
A place that has prostitute has crime.
Ine drugs.
It has drugs.
Ine shoppings.
It has shippings.
So zonke ezo zinto sazibeka.
And we explained all those things to him.
samchazela ukuthi kukhona abantu abaqhekeze ezindlini ezizizitorum bangena forcefully.
And we told him that there are people who break in storerooms and they are staying there forcefully.
Zonke ezo zinto.
We told
Sabuya
him all those
samchazela nge-211
We also explained to him about the 211,
ukuthi i-subletting iqale 211.
that everything started at 211.
211. Isuke 211
It started at 211
yaya e-209.
and then went to 209.
Umama wakhona unokhele uyathengisa.
The lady then, Okele, is selling.
Uthengisa eMpumalanga nase-Eastern Cape.
He's selling in Pumalanga and in the Eastern Cape.
So uthe ngelinye ilanga phakathi evekini I think ngolesibini or ngolesithathu efika ezostoka esithi uyadlula uya eMpumalanga uyothengisa eMpumalanga walala ke wavuka ekuseni wathatha into zakhe waya eMpumalanga same day kwagqekeza endlini yakhe kwangena abantu basekhona namhlanje.
I don't remember the days. I think it was on a Wednesday. Nokele came back from Eastern Cape and then she slept there at 209, right? At 209, and then she stocked whatever that she's selling, and then she wanted to go back to Mpumalanga to sell there. And then when she left to sell in Mpumalanga, people came in that night and they occupied her place, and they are still there even now,
Ngenkani
forcefully.
kulapho ke kumosakele inkomo zangena emasimini apho.
That's when things started to go bad.
So you say you told all of these things to Usindiso at housing. Did the city ever do anything about that?
Umasipala wedolophu kukhona into ayenza ngalondo,
Nanamhlanje
even today.
So did the city do anything about that?
Even today, they didn't do anything.
nanamhlanje azange benze nto.
Even today, they didn't do anything.
Okay, and then since then, have there been other issues at the building?
Ukusukela ngoko zikhona na ezinye ingxaki ezikhona apho nihlala khona.
Ozininzi kakhulu.
There are many.
And have those been communicated to the city?
Zichazelwe umasipala wedolophu.
Yabona ihlobo esicetyiswa ngalo ngabameli bethu into yenzeka ngalomzuzu umzuzu landela sichazela amaloya
The way we were advised by our lawyers, when something happens now, the next minute we report it to our lawyers.
emva koko sichazele sifone ngoba sanikezwa imvume sifonele i-director sifonele umanager sifone whoever osisithi or asine phone number zakhe siyamfuza amchazela sifonele amaloya sifonele bona sithi kwenzeka into eso now.
We call the lawyers and then we call the city same time. We were given a mandate to call the director and managers. We're given an authority to call the manager and to call the director of city.
And with the recent issues that you say were there that were reported, has the city done anything about them?
Kwezi ngxaki ezikhona okwangoku umasipala ikhona into ake wayenza.
Akhona nye.
He did nothing. They did nothing.
Okay. So, Mr. Ketani, we're just going to go back now to you, and we're going to leave aside the buildings for a moment.
Mhlekazi uKhethani sizothetha ngawe ngoku.
What do you do for a living?
Wenza ntoni for ukuphila?
Ngaphambili bendithengisa impahla.
Before I used to sell clothes.
Ngoku ke sendibamba itorho kwenye building nayo edilapidated njenge St. Jose ndingukhetheka khona.
I used to sell clothes before. Now I'm a caretaker at another building that is dilapidated like St. Jose.
And perhaps if you can answer this question, why do you continue staying at MPV1?
Kutheni uqhubeka uhlala eMPV1?
kukuba andikho enye indawo endingaya kuyo.
Because I don't have anywhere to go.
Can you elaborate on that?
Ungasichazela?
Andinakhaya apha,
I don't have a home here.
andinamali apha.
I don't have money.
Imali endiyisebenzayo
The money that I'm working,
isuka esandleni ize emlonyeni.
it's hand to mouth.
Thank you, Mr. Ketan.
Enkosi Mhlekazi uKhethani.
Madam Chairperson, Madam Commissioner, those are my questions to the witness.
Yes,
I'm not sure about the procedure, whether I can ask for the statement to be admitted now,
Yes,
whether there
you've
should
got
be
to.
other questions.
you've got to ask for the statement to be admitted as an exhibit.
Then I beg leave, Madam Chairperson, Commissioner, for the statement of Mr. Zanenkomo Nelson Ketani to be admitted as an exhibit. I would say Seri 1. If there are no objections.
Ms. Matumise?
Good morning, Madam Commissioner and Madam Commissioner. No objection from my part.
Mr. Nyandu?
Madam Chair, there are no objections.
Ms. Sitole?
No objections, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The statement of Zanenkosi Nelson Ketane is admitted into the record as Exhibit Seri 1.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Commissioner. The next witness we beg leave to
Yes,
call.
let's find out if there are any questions of
Oh.
clarification.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Matumise, do you have any questions of clarification?
Madam Commissioner, none from my side, Chairperson.
Thank you. Mr. Myandu?
Madam Chair, there are no questions for this witness.
Ms. Sitole?
We have no question, Madam Chair.
Yes. Mr. Siminya?
If it is convenient for the commission, may we take the tea agenda?
Yes. Thank you. We'll adjourn for tea for 15 minutes. Misinterpreter, I didn't get your name.
Khanyisile Mseleni.
Msileng,
Mseleni, M.
Mseleni.
Ewe.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Siminya,
Thank you,
Mhlekazi
Chairperson.
Usimenya.
Mr. Ketani, is Tagazelo the clan name Uchawe, and it?
Mhlekazi ukhe-
kunjalo tata.
It is so.
Molo ke
Bota.
Mhlekazi.
Bhota Mhlekazi.
Now, I am correct to describe you as a part of Inner City Federation, am I right?
Ingaba ndilungele na ukukubiza ngokuba uyi inner part City Federation?
I'm not sure about that.
And I'm not sure about that.
You're not sure that you, together with Seri, do help the residents in the inner city?
Awuqinisekanga ukuba nino Seri nehlala. You've got?
You
Can you
and
re-
Seri have some part to play around the living conditions of people in the city.
Kunendima eniyidlalayo kunenxaxheba oyidlalayo ekuhlaleni ebahlalini nasekubheteliseni inhlalo.
Injalo.
It is so.
Now, I want to say up front that I have no intention of being personal with you.
Ndifuna ukuthetha kwangaphambili ukuba andinanjongo zokuba personal nawe or zokuthetha izinto ezipersonal nawe.
At best, I wish to explore your assistance to the commission, given your long experience in the inner city.
Ndifuna ukwazi icala lakho njengokuba udlala inxaxheba enkulu ngolwazi lwakho lwalomba esingawo namhlanje siyi-commission.
Okay?
Ndiyabulele Nkosi.
Thank you.
Now, when I say you, I would not be referring to you personally. I would be using the word you to include Seri at other times.
Ndizosebenzisa
I mean,
igama
ICF.
ndizosebenzisa igama elithi wena, hayi ngoba ndiqonde wena kuphela, kodwa ndizolisebenzisa ukuquka no-Seri ne-ICM.
ICF.
ICF ne-ICF.
Inner City Federation.
Kulungi.
Thank you.
It is safe to say that the death of 76 people, injuries to scores at Usindiso, it's a painful tragedy.
Kungaba kulungile xa ndithi ukubhubha kwabantu abayi-76 nokuthi kube nengxeleha kwi-building Usindiso kubuhlungu kakhulu kuwe.
Ngaphezulu kokuthi uba kubuhlungu.
It is more than painful.
And even as ICF, you would not wish that to happen to South Africa again.
Futhi awunqweneli uba iphinde yenzeke eMzantsi Afrika futhi.
Kunjalo mama kodwa ke ngenxa yemeko yabaphathi bedolophu yethu abangenazinhliziyo kuza kwenzeka.
It is so, but because of our leaders of City of Johannesburg who are heartless, it's going to happen again.
Touch wood, the commission is intended to advise those leaders how we best can avoid that.
I-commission ikhonela ukucebisa abaphathi ukuba kungaphinde kwenzeke.
Siyayibulela iCommission bakhona kwayo ngoba zininzi izinto kudala zisitya.
We are grateful to the commission because there are many things that have been happening and we couldn't communicate them.
And an opinion from someone like you would be helpful to the commission to shape its recommendations. Please accept that.
Ubukhona bakho futhi nembono zakho zizoyinceda kakhulu ikomishini ukuze ikwazi ukuba nomba ewudlalayo.
Ndiyabulela.
Thank you.
So you'd accept that overcrowding is one of the problems that give us a result like Usindiso, right?
Ingaba inyaniso ukuba ukugcwalelana kakhulu ngenye yengxaki ezikhona Usindiso.
Injalo.
It is so.
Also, shared buildings inside these buildings are a additional hazard that should be avoided, am I right?
Ingaba ndinyanisile nakuba amatyotyombe aphakathi kwezi zakhiwo ngenye yengxaki ezikhona.
Injalo kakhulu.
It is so.
Now, when you have exposed electrical connections in these buildings, it's a fire hazard. You'd accept that, won't you?
Ungavuma na ukuba baphandle kwentambo zemibani kwezi zakhiwo ngenye yengxaki ezikhona.
Ingozi enkulu leyo.
It is very dangerous.
Even to children who are living in those buildings, am I right?
Kunabantwana futhi abahlalayo kwezi zakhiwo.
Kunjalo.
Yeah, it is so.
If one sees a sewage spillage inside the buildings, that's also a health hazard. Would you agree?
Ipipe zephandle ingaba ngenye yengxaki, ndi right?
Kunjalo kakhulu.
It is so.
To the unfortunate few who live in these buildings, their life is in perpetual peril or danger. Would you agree?
Ungavumelana namna xa ndisithi abantu abahlala kwezi zakhiwo basengcupheni enkulu kakhulu. Impilo zabo, ubomi babo busengcupheni enkulu kakhulu.
Ndiyavumelana naye ngenxa yabaphathi bedolophi abangenankathalo, abangenanhliziyo.
I agree with you, and it is because of our leaders, the city leaders, who are heartless and they don't care.
Now we'll get to the leaders. Let's go step by step. Mr. Katani.
Sizofika kumba wenkokheli kodwa masiye ngokwamatyeli ngamatyeli.
Ndiyavuma.
Thank you.
Living in filth, as some do, is unhealthy.
Ukuphila
You accept?
ebugxayibeni njengoba abanye bephila akukho kuhle for ubomi benu.
Kunjalo.
It is so.
And the Constitution guarantees to all who are here the right to dignity. Am I right?
I-constitution iyakuvumela ukukhuselwa kwesidima sabantu. Ingaba ndilungele na xa ndisitsho njalo?
Kunjalo.
It is so.
And some of the conditions into which they live are plainly inhuman.
Ezinye imeko abaphila ngaphansi kwazo azikho ntle nentle ebantwini abaphilayo.
Kunjalo man.
It is so.
And where we find combustible material being used in these buildings, it's also a fire hazard. Am I right?
Ukuthola iziqhushumbisi nokuthola izinto ezingalunganga kwezi zakhiwo kuye kubeke engcipheni yomlilo. Ndingaba ndinyanisile xa ndisitsho njalo?
Inene ngafuna ukuphikiswa.
You are right.
And in case of fire, a lot more people are at peril of death or injury. I should be right, am I not?
Ngexesha lemililo abanye abantu basengcipheni yokuthi batshe, abanye bade babhubhe. Ingaba ndinyanisile?
Inyanisile.
You are right.
And where we find that there are internal structures that have narrow escape passages, that is also a danger, am I right?
Xa sifumanisa ukuba kukhona nezindlunyana ezincinci, izistructure ezincinci eziphakathi kwezi zakhiwo, kuya kwenza ukuthi kube nomthelela ongakho right kwezi zakhiwo. Ndingaba ndinyanisile xa ndisitsho kanjalo?
Inyanisile.
You are right, sir.
And ICF would not prefer to have its members living in such risk and dangerous areas, am I right?
I-ICF ayifuni ukuba nabantu futhi angeke ithande ibe nabantu abahlala kwimeko ezilolo hlobo. Ingaba ndinyanisile?
Inyandela.
It is so.
I heard you speak about prostitution happening in some of the buildings. That also wouldn't be approved by ICF, am I right?
Ndive uthetha ngokuthengiswa komzimba, i-ICF angeke ikuthande oko. Ndingaba ndinyanisile?
kunjalo.
Unyanisile.
Crime infestation is a problem that should be resolved around these buildings. I would be correct if I say so, won't I?
Ubudlobongela nobugebengu ngenye yezinto ekumele zingenzeki kwezi zakhiwo. Ingaba ndinyanisile xa ndisitsho kanjalo?
Kunjalo kakhulu.
It is so.
And where the buildings show structural weaknesses or difficulties, it's a hazard light shining. It says danger, am I right?
Ngaphandle ezi zakhiwo ziye zibonakalise into ebhaliwe ukuthi ziyingozi. Ingaba ndi-right?
Right.
Yes, you are right.
And this is some of the things we experience during our inspections in local, you agree?
Ngenye yezinto esiye sazibona xa siyohlola, ungavumelana nam?
Injalo loo nto.
I agree with you.
And there is waste management that is also a problem in some of the buildings, am I right?
Ilindle elichithwayo ngenye yezinto eziyingxaki kwezi zakhiwo.
Kunjalo.
It is so.
Absence of water in a building such as these, some of these, it's a serious difficulty for habitation.
Enye ingxaki enkulu kungabikho kwamanzi kwezi zakhiwo. Ingaba ndinyanisile?
Funa ukuphikisa inyani.
It is so.
People should not be flushing toilets using bucket water from fire hydrants, am I right?
Abantu akumelanga baflashe itoilets ngamanzi abawakhe ngebhakethe. Ingaba ndinyanisile?
Inyanise kakhulu ngoba nathi sine 5 years siflasha ngamabhaketi.
I agree with you because we've been using the buckets, we've been fetching water to flush using the buckets for 5 years now.
And using braziers in Baula, it's a serious fire hazard where we see some of these in the buildings, am I right?
Ukusebenzisa imbawula ngenye yemeko ezibuhlungu kakhulu ukuphembekisa umlilo.
Ingozi enkulu leyo.
It is very dangerous.
So primer stoves that use paraffin, a fire hazard also, right?
Ukusebenzisa iprimer stove esebenzisa iparafini ngenye yengozi ezikhona kwezi zakhiwo.
Kunjalo.
It is so.
And waste management.
Ilindle ukumanejwa kwelindle.
Before I go there, when electricity is disconnected for whatever reason, reconnecting it illegally is also a danger to the occupiers. I should be right, am I not?
Ukufaka umbani ngendlela engekho mthethweni xa uthe umbani wakhutshwa ngenxa yezimo ezithile o ngenxa yezizathu ezithile ukuubuyisela ngokungekho mthethweni ngenye eyenza impembeleko ezingekho zinhle neze. Ingaba ndinyanisile xa nditsho njalo?
Unyanisile.
You are right, sir.
So when the commission recommends, if it does, that inhospitable conditions that you and I have been speaking should be corrected, you would support it as ICF, am I right?
Njenge ICF ningakwazi ukusupporta i-commission xa i-recommenda inezilungiso ezirekomendayo ngemiba esesiyithethile mna nawe.
Singavumelana.
Will agree with the commission.
And there are city bylaws that are intended to address all these issues. You accept that from me?
Uyavumelana na ukuba kunemithetho yedolophu ekwaziyo ukuthi ilungise le miba esithethe ngayo mna nawe?
Ngavuya kakhulu.
Yes.
And ICF would support the commission if it were to recommend strict adherence and compliance with the bylaws of the city.
Ningayisupporta i-ICF ingayisupporta i-commission xa irecommenda ukuba idolophu inkokheli zedolophu ziqinisekise kakhulu ngokungamandla uba le mithetho iyalandelwa na.
Singavuya kakhulu baye kurhola mahala.
We'll be happy because they won't be getting paid for nothing.
And you would also support that those who pay, as we seem to see others do, must be paying to the rightful authorities, am I right? That would be supported by ICF.
Ninga support, ICF inga support uba abo babhatalayo babhatale kubantu abagunyazisiwe. Yes, it is so.
And apart from affordability, there is no reluctance for occupiers to pay their contribution for their subsistence where they can, am I right?
Siyavuma.
Yes, I agree.
And you as ICF, you would support such a recommendation if
Ning-
made by the commission.
Ninga supporta lo recommendation xa yenziwe yi-commission ni ICF.
Sayivuma.
Yes, we agree.
Now, there are sublettings that happen in some of the buildings. You spoke about it, I think.
Uke wathetha ngokuvumela ukungena kwabantu kwezinye zezi zakhiwo.
Sike sathetha ngaloo nto asivumelani nayo loo nto.
Yes, I did speak about that, and I don't agree with those subletting.
And sometimes they use material like linen to separate the various family units in that
Kwamanye
tight
amaxesha,
spaces.
kwamanye amaxesha basebenzisa impahla okanye ishiti izinto ezifana neshiti ukwenzela ukuhlahlula izindlu.
Ayivumelekanga loo nto.
It is not allowed.
And ICF wouldn't support that type of living conditions, am I right?
Ndiyabona. Yes, you are right.
So in sum, you and I seem to agree that all these inhumane forms of existence in the city are not supported by ICF.
Mna nawe sibonakala sivumelana ukuba zonke yonke lenhlalo engalunganga yabantu abahlala kwezi zakhiwo abahlala kuzo. Mna nawe siyavumelana ngezi zinto.
Siyavumelana kakhulu.
Yes, we agree a lot.
And sometimes I may even say it cannot be in the best interest of the indigent to live in subhuman conditions as some of these
Futhi
people live.
futhi ndingaphinde ndithi akulunganga ukuba abantu bahlale kwezi zakhiwo ezilolo hlobo. Singavumelana nangokuloo nto?
Into enjalo ingalandelwa ngokulandelana kwezinto kwezekhamsisi zakhona.
In that case, I think things will be resolved by following the laws.
By either side, be that city or the occupiers as well. That's a situation which we should strive to achieve. Am I right?
Ndingaba ndinyanisile na ukuba kumele silwele ukuba abahlala kwezi zakhiwo futhi nenkokheli zedolophu zilwele ukuba ziphuculwe ezi zakhiwo.
Singavuya kakhulu.
We'll be grateful.
So Chawe, it looks like you and I are in total agreement, and I have no further questions to you.
Mna nawe Chawe sibonakala sivumelana kakhulu kwezi zinto and andinayo eminye imibuzo.
Ndiyabulela.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ketani,
Mhlekazi uKhethani,
siyabulela ukuba ukwazile ukuba uze apha uzonika ubufakazi ubungqina.
Ndiyabulela ma.
thank you ma'am.
Ungadedelwa tata ukuba yingqina.
Nkosi ma. Okay.
Yes,
As a witness.
yes, you may.
Member Tswane, good morning.
Greetings, sir.
Please speak up so that the machines can pick up your voice.
Re kopa gore o buele kwa godimo gore ba kgone go utlwa lentswe la gago mo direkotong.
Dumela ntate.
Give us your full names, Dumela mme.
Re kopa maina a gago a feletseng.
Leina la ka ke nna Gadifele Frida Motshwane.
My name is Gadifele Frida Motshwane.
You swear the evidence you are about to give us will be the truth, and if you do, please do raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
A wa ikana gore se o tlileng go se bua e tlile go nna boammaaruri mme fa e le gore go ntse jalo ke kopa gore o tsholetse seatla sa gago sa moja o bo re modimo o nthuse.
Modimo nthuse.
The witness is sworn in.
Thank you, Mr. Siminya. Mr. Rabokhali.
Memo Tshwane, dumela.
Good morning, members.
Dumela ntate.
Good morning, sir.
In front of you, there's a statement that you provided to the commission.
Fa pele ga gago go na le statement se e le gore o ile a sena commission.
Eh,
Yes.
If you can just look at the first page there, it says witness statement of Gadifele Frida Motshwane. Do you see that?
Ke kopa gore o lebe tsebe ya ntlha ya re statement sa mosupi e bong Gadifele Frida Motshwane.
ke a se bona.
Yes, I see it.
And if we go to the last page,
Me fara ko tsebeng ya bofelo.
there's a signature there above your name. Do you see that?
Ke a se bona.
Yes, I
And-
see it.
Do you confirm that that's your signature?
O wa dumela gore ke mosaeno wa gago.
Ke signature ya.
Yes, it is my signature.
All right. So, Memo Tshwane, we're going to go through some of your evidence, and I'll be doing it more or less in line with how you've set out your evidence in the statement.
Mme mo tshwane gone jaanong re tlile go tsamaya mo statementeng sa gago mme ke tlile go nna ntse ke akgela ka sone go ya ka tsela e o kodileng ka yone.
Ke a dumela.
Yes, I agree.
So, Memo Tshwane, where do you live?
Mme mo tshwane o nna fa kae?
Ke dula ko number 6 corner angle and Shaw Street, Liner Tax Building.
Okay. And where were you born?
O tsholetswe kae?
Ke tsholetswe ko Northwest Province mo toropong ya Zeerust,
I was born in Northwest in Zeerust,
mo Mokgola village.
in Mokgola village.
Okay. And how was your upbringing?
O gotse jang?
Ke tshotswa ke re le batlhano mo lapeng ke mme wa ka le ntate wa ka, and then mme wa ka o ne a sebetsa as a domestic worker mo Gauteng, ntate wa ka a sebetsa mapolasing
We are
mo around the village go dikaganyetswe ke dipolasi, so na bereka mo go engwe ya dipolasi tseo.
We are 5 at home with my father and mother. My mother was a domestic worker in Gauteng, whereas my father worked as a farm worker in one of the surrounding farms in our village.
And did you attend school?
Ke tsene sekolo.
Yes, I attended school.
How far did you get with it?
O feletse kae ka sekolo?
Ke tswile ka standard 10 hantle ko standard 11 a ka se fetse.
I completed standard 10. I did attend standard 10 or
Standard 10 standard grade 11 a ka e
all
fetse.
right. Sorry. I completed grade 10. I did attend grade 11 but did not pass it.
Why?
Goreng?
Gobane mme wa ka ntate wa ka na sa tlhokofetse ka 1983 ya ba gore mme wa ka sala le ene motho o sebetsang a sebeletsa rona re le batlhano ene re dula le nkgono wa ka ka nako eo ne ba gola pension ka ga o thotse ba gotse ka January ba gola gape ka March.
Now it is,
So ene tšhelete ya teng ne le nnyane a sa kgone gore a ka re tlhokomela ka yone kaofela rotlhe.
it is because my father passed away and now my mother was the only breadwinner providing for us 5 children. We also stayed with our grandmother and she was earning, she was a pensioner. But the pension system, how it works, that it is that if you get pension in January, you'll only get the next pension in March. So also the money was little. So that is the situation that we're living in.
So, in paragraph 7 of your statement, the last sentence you say, in 1995, I got a job as a domestic worker and moved permanently to Johannesburg from Northwest. Before that, so I'm asking about the period after grade 11 and so between grade 11 and 1995, what were your living conditions?
Mo statement sa gago mo serapa sa 7 o tlhalositse mo moleng wa bofelo gore ka 1995 ke ne ka bona tiro jaaka domestic worker mme ka fudugela sa ruri ko Johannesburg go tswa ko Northwest. Jaanong kwa tla go itse gore magareng ga grade 11 le 1995 o maemo a botshelo a ntse jang.
Maemo a botshelo nna a se monate gobane ausi wa ka ba ba ke ba latelang ka bobedi ba ne ba tlameha gore ba tlogele sekolo ba tle go batla mosebetsi ba gore ba kgone go thusa mme wa rona gore a re kgone gore support-a gae.
Our living conditions were difficult because my 2 elder sisters also had to leave school, find work so that they can help my mother with providing for all of us.
So then, in 1995, you say you get this job as a domestic worker. You come to Johannesburg. What happened next? Where were you working?
Jaanong o tlhalositse gore ka 1995 o tla mo Gauteng go tla go bereka jaaka domestic worker. Jaanong mpolelle gore go ile ga direga eng o ne o bereka kae mo morago ga po.
Ke ne ke ntse ke tla di-holidays tsa sekolo then ka bona gore situation e ya le ntse e nna bokete then le nna ka feletsa ke batla mosebetsi ka thola mosebetsi ka sebetsa ko Westbury.
I was often coming during school holidays to find work, but now the living conditions were becoming even more difficult until I found work in Westbury.
Where were you staying?
Ne ke dula le mme wa ka ko Brixton.
I was staying with my mother in Brixton.
Okay. And so I see in paragraph 8 it says then at some point you stopped living with your mother. Why did you stop?
Ke bona mo serapa sa 8 o tlhalositse gore o ile wa imisa go dula le mmago. Ke ka ntlha yang fa o ne o imisa go dula le mama?
A ke ntse ke sebetsa ke bile ka kopana le moshimane o ne a ka kena maratong tabeng tsa marato le ene then ka stopa go dula le mme wa ka ka move in le ene ga ya go dula ko Randfontein mosebetsi o nna o sebetsa mo movela ko Randfontein.
While I was staying with my mother, I met a certain gentleman and then we were romantically involved. So I decided then to move in with him. Now he moved to Randfontein due to work and I moved in with him in Randfontein.
Yeah. And so in paragraph 8, you then say in 2007 we separated. What happened after that separation?
Jaanong o tlhalositse gore ka 2007 lo ile la kgaogana. Go ile ga direga eng morago ga go lo kgaogana ka 2007?
Ka 2007 re bile ra kgaogana then ka move in le ausi wa ka a dula mo Newtown mo gaufi le mo Oriental Plaza ka dula le ene mo until 2013 ga ba ntshiwa ka di-red ends mo ba evictiwa a movela ko Cosmo City.
Now in 2007 I separated with this gentleman. Then I moved in with my sister who was staying in Newtown near Oriental Plaza until 2013 when they were evicted by the Red Ants. And then she moved to Cosmo City.
Okay. So at the time of that eviction, were you working?
Ka nako ya fa ba ne ba lelekwa, a o ne o bereka?
E ka nako e ne ke bereka ko Mayfair mo Nura Hotel.
Yes, I was working at Nura Hotel in Mayfair.
And how much were you earning?
O ne o gola bokae?
Ne ke gola 450.
It was 450 rands.
And that was 450 per week, per month?
A ne le ka beke kgotsa ka kgwedi,
Ne le
450.
ka kgwedi.
It was per month,
Okay.
Per week. Ka kgwedi.
Ee.
yes.
So just let me clarify, that 450 you would get at the end of the month or at the end of the week?
E re ke tle ke tlhaloganye sentle, a 450 eo o no e bona, fa beke e fela kgotsa fa kgwedi e fela,
Fa kgwedi e fela.
at the end of the month.
And so this, this eviction happens in 2013. Where do you go?
Jaanong tiro eno ya gore ba lelekwe ka 2013, fa e ne e direga, morago mo o ile wa kae?
Ka nako ga ba evictiwa mo Newtown, ne ke ntse ke sebetsa ko Nyura Hotel, ke tsamaya le banyana ba bangwe ba nne ke ba bereka next door le mo nne ke bereka teng. Ya ba gore ke nna ke ntse ke bua le bone ke ba tlhalosetsa situation ya ka, ba re mo go nna ke move in le bone mo ba dulang teng, of which it was ko Moth Building.
Now, after the eviction, I was still working at Neuro Hotel. So the people that were in my company, or that I was acquainted to, they were working nearby the hotel that I was working in. So after discussing with them my situation, then they advised that I should move in with them, and they were living
Ko Moth Building.
in Moth Building.
Why did you not go to Cosmo City with your sister?
Goreng o sa ya ko Cosmo City le ausi wa gago?
Ko Cosmo City ne ke tlo go jwa ke transport.
It was going to be an issue of transport if I moved to Cosmo City.
So what is the issue with transport?
Mathata ke eng ka transport?
Ne ko gola tšhelete e nnyane, ne transport ne le 22 ranta ka nako eo.
I was earning little money, and transport at that time was about 22 rands to ferry from Cosmo to work.
Okay. And so then you moved to Moth Building. Can you tell us about Moth Building and the conditions?
January, we love fudugela ko Moth Building. A ka re bolelela maemo a ne a le ko Moth Building ka nako eo.
Ko Moth Building a ke fitla ko teng ne go na le metsi, go na le motlakase, mare boemo ba teng ne bo sa kgatlhise gobane ne go sherilwe ka di-curtains. Ha go sherilwe jalo ka di-curtains ba iketsetsa privacy ya di-curtains for like gobane ba bangwe ne le batho ba e leng gore ke di-partner, ba bangwe le batho ba bagolo, so ne ba tlhoka privacy, ba isherela ba etsa ka di-curtains, ba etsetsa privacy ya bone. Then a ke ntse ke dutse mo nna ba mphile space se senyane fela gore ke kgone go robala. Ga etsagala gore ba bangwe gobane ne ke robala ke le nosi ba attempta go nrape.
Now in Moth Building, when I moved to Moth Building, yes, there was water and there was electricity. However, the living conditions were not good. The reason it is because the rooms were partitioned using linen. You find that in a room that there's a couple, and then there's also elderly people. So now they would divide or partition the rooms with the linen. So it's in order for them to get some privacy. Now I was given a small room, and I was living, or a small place, and I was living alone, whereby at one point, some people attempted to rape me.
I'm sorry to hear that, Ms. Mutsan.
Re maswabi go utlwa seno, mme.
Did the people who lived at Moth Building do anything about sort of its upkeep?
Batho ba kwa Moth Building a gona le sengwe se ba se dirang gore ba tlhokomele lefelo leno le ne mo maemo a siameng?
Ee, go ne go le faili ko Moth Building, and then go na le metsi a nkgang, then committee e ne e le teng ga ke fitlha moo ba ne ba dula ba bitsa meeting go bontshana jalo ka badudi gore pleke e re dutse mo go yone gore e dule e le clean, eng ga monate re ka etsang. Then ba decide gore motho o mongwe le o mongwe a ntshe 5 ranta re reke dintho tsa go cleana.
Now in Moth Building, the building was filthy, and also the water had some stench in it. So now the committee that was appointed at that time that I was staying in there advised us, as residents, that how can we upkeep this building to be in a good condition. So the advice that came out about was that if we all contribute 5 rands, so that we could buy cleaning equipment, so that this place can have can be well kept and also have a good odor.
Now, in paragraph 9 of your statement, you say We cleaned the building ourselves as occupiers, and towards the end of 2013, the city appointed cleaners. Can you tell us how that came about?
Jaanong mo serapa sa 9 o a re re ne re phepafatsa kago eno ka borona jaaka baagi go fitlhela kwa boelong ja 2013 go tswa foo toropo ile ya tlisa batho ba ba phepafatsang a o ka re tlhalosetsa ka seno gore go tlile jang gore go nne jalo
Go tlile ka tsela e nana ha re ntse re itlinela jana ne gona le committee e ne e kgethilwe ne re na le gore re ba kope re ba rome ko city gore ba ye go kopela dintho tsa go cleana e be gore ba kgone go lemoga gore o re tlhoka go cleanelwa then ba appointa batho ba ba tlong go cleana building ka towards 2013.
So whilst we were cleaning the building ourselves, we did form or appoint a committee where we sent them to the city so that they can request the city to give us cleaning equipment. So that is then when the city decided to come and to bring in the cleaners.
Okay. And so why did you stop living at Moth Building?
Jaanong lebaka ke eng la go bo o ile wa emisa go dula ko Moth Building?
Ga ke a dula go emisa ga ke a emisa go dula ko Moth Building ke dutse ko Moth Building until 2014 ga di 26 sa May go ba le mollo o ne wa tshisa ko 3rd floor.
I did not stop living in Moth Building. However, the time that I was no longer living in Moth Building was on the 26th of May due to a fire that erupted on the 4th building, or on the 4th floor, sorry.
So what happened after the fire?
Re dutse beke kaofela re ntse re le ko Moth Building after mollo o tshile go le Sateretaga and then by ha e nna Vrydaga mo beke e latelang ba during the course of beke eo ga kgethiwa batho ba ne le gore go teke committee ya nakwana e ne kgethilwe gore batho ba go city ya ka ga bantse ba le mo ba ntse ba bua ba etsa plan ya gore ba ka re ka thusagala jwang e nne bone batho ba ileng gore ba communicate le bone cause ba ka se communicate le rona kaofela then mo committee e ne kgethilwe itse ga ka la bone ba re go tholagetse pleke ko Linatex ko New Doornfontein mo ileng gore committee tshwantse re tsamaye le batho ba housing ba ya go check up pleke gore na re ka e rata go ka dula mo go yone then ba tsamaya ba go teng ha ba khutla go teng ba bitsa badudi ba bolella gore pleke e siame ya go ka dula ga mo go yone e bile go na le batho ba ileng gore ba manage building.
Now, we stayed in the building after the fire. We still stayed in the same building for about a week. So the fire erupted on Friday, on Saturday. Then around Friday the next week, then we formed or we appointed a temporary committee that would be our representatives to the city, because the city said that they cannot communicate with each and every one of us. However, this committee will be representing us and they will be communicating with them. So as time went on, the city indicated that they found a accommodation for us at Linatex building in New Doornfontein. So then the committee came to us and they said that they will go to that building to see if it is suitable and habitable. So that is what happened after that.
So then in paragraph 10 of your statement, you say, I've been staying in Linatex building since 1 June 2014. Can you tell us what condition Linatex building was in when you moved in?
Jano mo serapa sa 10 o ile wa re ke ne ke ntse ke nna kwa Linatex building fa isale ka 1 June 2014 go fitla ga jana. Jano a ka re tlhalosetsa gore maemo a botshelo go khotsa maemo a bonno a ka go eno ana ntse jang.
Ga re fitla ko Linatex e ne le ntle e na le management e ne ile gore ne e kgethilwe ke city of which it was MES ke bone batho ba ne re ntse re dutse mo tlase ga bone ba manager building until ka 2017.
So when we arrived at Linatex, it was a very beautiful building. It had a management that was appointed by the city, which was MES that we were under. So it was like that until,
2017.
until 2017.
Did you have things such as water, electricity, and so on?
A le na le dilo tse di jaaka metsi, motlakase, jalo le jalo.
Metsi le motlakase ne di le teng, re ne re tlhapela di-showereng.
Yes, there was water and electricity, and we also used showers.
And how was access into the building controlled?
Jaanong go tsena le go tswa mo kagong go ne go laolwa jang?
Ne go na le ne re tsena ka di-fingerprint, ne go na le biometric system e ne re e thotseng tse e le teng ga re fitlha mo.
So there was a biometric system whereby we use our fingerprints. It was already there when we arrived at Linatex.
So then you say things changed in 2017. What changed in 2017?
Jaanong wa re maemo a ile a fetoga ka 2017. Ke eng se se ileng sa fetoga?
Go change-ile ha ba MES ba tsamaya ba re city ga e sa kgona go ba patala ba re ga bana budget for bone.
It was when MES left, they said that the city no longer has a budget to pay them. So then they decided to leave the building.
And what then changed? What conditions changed in the building?
Jaanong ke eng se se neng sa fetoga? Ke maemo afe a ileng a fetoga?
Maemo a bile a fetoga ka baka la gore ne go sena batho ba ba leng gore ba re call to order ga re le badudi jwa ka ga ne re le badudi gobane MES ne na le security sa bone se ne le gore ne e le sone se dutse mo gating e itse ga ba sena ba tsamaya ya ba gore building e sala e sena control that mare nna re ne re ntse re le teng re exista since from 2015 as a committee re kgethilwe ke badudi.
So now, since MES left, there was no one who called us to order as residents. The reason being MES had their own security personnel who were stationed at the gate. Now, when they left, such provisions were no longer available. So with us, we were still staying there, and then we were appointed in a committee since 2015 of the building.
And since 2017, did anything change in relation to water, electricity, access control?
Jaanong fa e sale ka 2017, maemo a ile a fetoga a jaaka metsi, motlakase le go tsena le go tswa mo kagong.
Maemo a bile a fetoga e le ga go bile ga tsena ba re tseetsa ntate o mongwe ba re ke ntate Phumzile ne ke sa tsebe surname ya gagwe ne re mmitsa re ke ntate Phumzile ba re ke caretaker.
Yes.
Ha ntate Phumzile le caretaker jalo ga a dula nako e telele le rona a ba tsamaya a re bolelela gore a mfounela a re mo go nna Frida a ke sa le tlase ga ka jalo ka caretaker ya lona se go appointilwe o mongwe lebitso la go ke Sebusiso nna ke se ke le ko Alexander. And then go tsamaya ga go wa ko Alexander Sebusiso le yone ga ba tla go mo introduce mo go rona like ka tsela e leng gore re tla tseba gore ai kaofela re le badudi caretaker ya rona ke o na tla unexpected a fitlhe a tholane le bone batho ba e leng gore motlhomongwe ba teng ka nako eo a itsebise bone ga ba le tsela ya gore motlhomongwe a etse meeting a itlhalose mo go rona gore ke nna caretaker ya lona so.
Now, at that time, the city then, or they brought us a certain gentleman, I cannot recall his name, but is Mr. Phumzile. Then they said that he was going to be the caretaker. However, he did not stay for a long time. In actual fact, he once phoned me indicating that we were no longer going to be under his supervision since he was no longer going to be our caretaker. So then the city appointed a certain gentleman by the name of Sebusiso. So Mr. Phumzile left and then he went to stay in Alexandra. Now with Mr. Sebusiso, there was never a formal meeting whereby he was introduced to us formally. However, he would come to the building unexpected and we would find pockets of people who were there at the time. So there was never a time whereby we knew that this gentleman now is our caretaker.
What was the position with water, electricity, and access control at the building after 2017?
Jaanong maemo a ntse a motlakase metsi le go tsena go laola go tsena le go tswa mo kagong a ntse jang morago ka 2017.
motlakase le metsi ne di ntse di le teng since batho ba MES ba sene ba tsamaya until ka 2022 re ba le bothata ba gore ga rena metsi nna ne re ipolela re metsi a kwetswe ka nako yo kanti problem e ke pipe e ne e tsenya metsi mo building e ka re ne ba stile e isa metsi mo basementeng.
So we still had water and electricity until 2022, even after MES left. So now we started not having water. We thought that the water was shut down. However, it was because of the pipe that transports the water into the building, it burst. And so it was leaking. So that is the problem that we are facing.
And what was the position with access control after 2017?
Ya no moraga 2017 go laola go tsena le go tswa mo kagong maemo a teng a ntse jang.
Maemo a teng na le a siame until ka 2022 ga Sibusiso ba re ba etsa maintenance a change system e na e thola e le rona re thotse re ile teng ga re fitla ka 2014 a yentsa ne ntse e bereka sentle ne re ntse re kgona go tsena ka yone gate ikiwa gate ne e bulwa ga motho mongwe o tswa shopong na le merwalo o re o tshwere merwalo e mengata ne ba go bulela gate ma security e ba go re sebedisa biometric system a yentsa ele e ne ntse sebetsa ba tsenya e nngwe a re intšha mara ga zange ba e activate le emergency e eme jalo ga e sebetse gate e dula e butswe.
So there was access control until 2022, whereby Mr. Sibusiso decided to do maintenance on the biometric system. The very system that we found when we went into the building in 2014. Now, the system was working fine, but then he decided to remove it as part of maintenance. And then he installed a new system, which until today, it has not been activated.
And what are the consequences of this access control system not working?
Jano ditlamorago tsa go bo go sena taolo eno ya go tsena le go tswa mo kagong ke dife?
Ditlamorago tsa teng ke go tshwana le gore ga re tlhole re le safe gobane le security sa bone ga se etse mosebetsi ba tsena ba feta ba dula teng mo guardroom ya bone ga ba key gate jalo ka mosebetsi o ileng gore ba o tletse mo ga ba fihla ba tlogela gate e butswe le ga ba chaisa le pele ga o mongwe o re lebang atla motho a tsamaya tlogele gate ntse le jalo ene ka go etsa jalo e re biletsa le ditsotsi go tswa ka ntle batho ba tshwara poo ka ntle ba tsena mo ba leela mo jarete ya rona ba siela mo jarete ya rona jaanong jarete ya rona e nna e ka re rona go nna ditsotsi ga se rona ke batho ba tswang ba bona gore gate go a kena ga go a tswega.
Now, I can say that we are no longer safe because even the security that's being appointed now, they're not doing their work. They do not lock the gates. They leave the gates wide open and without attending to it. And also, they have a tendency of leaving work early before someone who can relieve them comes to work. So they do not do as per their mandate. And then another thing that, another issue that it has caused, it is that now we have a criminality that's happening outside the building whereby criminals would mark a person outside the building and then run into our building because the gate is opened and the security is not working. So now it seems as though that our building is a den of thieves, whereby it is not us who are the criminals, but the criminals are coming into our building, running from wherever they did the criminality into our building.
Now, in paragraph 12 of your statement, you say, we've been writing to the city concerning these challenges in the building, especially to the caretaker Sibusiso, and he would tell us that there is no budget to fix things, but he would see what he can do. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Jano mo serapa sa 12 o le wa kwala gore lo ntse le kwala na toropo malebana le dikgwetlo tse le kopana le tsone mo kagong segolo bogolo ka motlhokomedi wa lona e bong Sibusiso ka gonne o tla lebelela gore ga gona tekanyetso kabo ga gona budget le ya go baakanya dilo mme o tla bona ene o tla bona gore o dira jang jaanong a ka re tlhalosetsa mo go oketsegileng ka ntlha eno.
Ke makgetho a mangata re ntse re ngwalla re bona phoso e etsagalang mo building e be re dula fatshe jalo ka committee ga se ne re dula fatshe jalo ka komiti re se ne re dumalatsana ka mokgwa re dumalatsanang ka teng re bitsang phakate re ba bontsha bothata jo re bo bonang re dumalatsana ba re okay a re etse memo re ngwale lengolo re ngwale sebusiso re mmolelle gore re na le bothata jo bo jwang mo jareteng re etse jalo e nne nna ke letsa lengolo ke letsa ke lisa ko 222.
Now,
e se ile makgetho I'm sure re na le mangwalo a mangata I'm sure 4 or 5 re ntse re ba ngwalla sebusiso a re fitla kwa o tla re bolela gore ga bana budget sometimes a re bolela gore ai o tla bona gore o etsa jwang ke mmotse gore a botse sebusiso ga o bua lentswe la gore ga bana budget every year go nna le di-budget tsa di-tea kaofela ga o re ga lena budget o e shebisitse kae ene ke eng e wena o le nosi gore o tla e bona gore o etsa jwang mare ka mo o ntse o bua gore ga gona budget ke eng e wena o le nosi o ka e etsa ga o re ga gona budget ye o ntsholofetsa yone gore o tla e bona gore o etsa jwang ke eng.
now we've been writing numerously to the city, and I would personally, or if we encounter a problem in the building, we would sit down as a committee, deliberate on it, and then call the community so that we can make a decision about it. So then after making a decision, then we would write a letter whereby I personally would take it to 222. So now we have a problem with Mr. Zbusiso because I think there are about 4 or 5 letters that we wrote. And then the only thing that he would say is that there is no budget to fix such things. So now we ask him, every year there's a budget that's been allocated to this to these things. So now what do you mean that there's no budget? Where do you direct that budget to? And also, if you say that you personally will see what you can do, what are you going to do? How can you do it? Because now you say that there's no budget.
So now, when the city says there's no budget, what steps have the community taken in relation to those issues in the building?
Yano ha toropo e re ga bana tekanyetso ka bo. Ke dikgato di fetse le gore baagi ba ditsereng malebana le kgang eno gore ga gona budget.
Go na le kgato re ile ra enka ka tsatsi le lengwe ra tsamaya rako e le ga re la ka metsi a mo basement ra tsamaya rako region F ko Eureka House ra thola ntate Moabi Pekane. Tate Moabi Pekane ra mo tlhalosetsa bothata ba rona gore tate Moabi Pekane re na le bothata bo jareteng ba metsi a mo basement ene ga re fitla le re boleletse gore se ka ra dula le ntho tsa rona mo di roomong di ye ko basement ne ba sena di store room da beiwa ko basement pele dintho tsa rona di a senyega ko basement go tletse metsi re etse jwang ntate Moabi Pekane a re isa kwana le kwana ra mo tshosetsa ra morara ga le sa etse jalo rona re tla bitsa cutting age tla go bona bophelo jo le re phedisang ka tlasa a bone same day as ne re khutla kwa ile di afternoon